The blue butthole means it's saving. So Sherlock fandom may be new to me, but I'm no stranger to Lovecraft. The seafood flavor of horror is one of my favorites, so jamming calamari bits into an existing property is a good way to catch my eye. Dark Souls plus Deep Ones equal my favorite Souls game. When is our remaster, by the way? I guess it's on brand because asking for it feels like praying to a cold and indifferent god. A Sherlock Cthulhu crossover seems somehow both off-the-wall mad and totally awesome. It's worth mentioning this is not round 1 of this combination. It's not even round 1 of this game. The original 2006 game is, from what I understand, well regarded even to this day. A remake almost 20 years later isn't too surprising given the love Frogwares has for both Sherlock Holmes and Lovecraft. This game also fits in as a direct sequel to Chapter 1. I didn't mention this in my last video because I felt it fit better here, but Sherlock meets Watson in the post-credits scene at the end of the previous game. Awakened picks up shortly after that, about 2 years. There are little callbacks and references to the previous game, some more lighthearted than others. He kept that damn thing? Vogel not only found Sherlock's address, he keeps sending him letters.
Another letter from Werner. I never reply, but they keep coming.
Gee, I can't imagine why. Even if the finer details aren't confirmed, the previous game's events still hang over Sherlock in this story. Watson brings his own set of problems.
Well, I object to rows because my nerves are shaken, and I get up at all sorts of ungodly hours, and I am extremely lazy. I have another set of vices when I'm well, but those are the principal ones at present.
Having him around, though, is something I missed out on from the last game. It's fun to have a Sherlock and Watson back and forth. Watson challenges Sherlock. They disagree on a lot fundamentally.
I'm sure you have another explanation prepared, Mr. Holmes, but I think I shall cling to the occasional superstition all the same.
To each his own, Dr. Watson. So long as it does not interfere with my methods.
But he has his own strengths and skills. He considers Sherlock a friend, but he's not going to follow him just for the sake of following. Pretty much everything I like about Watson is what I disliked about John. Rip, homie. Pour out some pepper snuff for a true OG. Speaking of pepper snuff, there's none of that this time. No combat at all, really. There are these little aim and shoot timed events, but I think they pop up like 3 times. That's probably for the best. It would be a little too over the top to have Sherlock and Watson going all men in black on a bunch of abominations beyond comprehension. Sherlock's greatest weapon is his mind. The problem is, it's a weapon with no safety. In a game about madness and old ones, you'd think Sherlock would kick off the paranoia maybe a few hours into this thing. Instead, it's boredom that's driving him up the walls. So there's been a rash of burglaries, and Sherlock believes they're connected. To prove his theory, he needs to check the paper for more reported burglaries, but Watson tossed it because it was dirty. Outside in the rubbish bin, Sherlock not only finds the paper, but a cactus spine. Well, maybe they are out to get you. Sherlock's ready to lay out the bookstore owner, but he doesn't get mad at this kid for his false advertisement.
Get the Strand! Get your copy of the Strand here! Sorry, Mr. Holmes, I just sold my last paper.
Blast. Then why are you still here?
Boss pays by the hour.
We see the deduction screen has had some changes. With a more linear story, there's now only one outcome for every deduction. It makes sense, but I do miss filling out the screen with different possibilities. Some sections only have one deduction. Sherlock confronts the bookstore owner, who hides like a real man. Walking across the street to the flower lady reveals the truth. No one is out to get Holmes. This guy just wanted to hit that, a tale as old as time. Sherlock apologizes and gives some solid advice for the love-struck fool.
I have neither the experience nor the interest in navigating the finer sex and their peculiarities. Do what you will.
He finally gets his paper and realizes nothing. No burglary conspiracy at all.
There was supposed to be another burglary. I was certain of it. Something you wish to say, Doctor?
No. Well, only that you have a remarkable faculty for deduction and pattern recognition, and that perhaps, if ill-applied...
I see things that are not there.
Yes. It is London.
Watson does have a mystery to offer, however. One of his patients is missing his manservant. The two navigate the rainy streets to find this guy and a police officer in a heated conversation. This officer's name is Sergeant Ruffles, by the way.
Sergeant Ruffles.
How embarrassing is that? The name Sergeant Ruffles should belong to a dog that looks like this. But because he's not a dog, he's unable to help track down the servant. Sherlock agrees to help because he has nothing better to do. Around the back of the manor, he finds that the servant was drugged and shanghaied in the middle of the night. The only clue left to his whereabouts are the calling card of a Roy Soulsby. Watson and Sherlock deduce this person likely works at the port. The port is a good time to bring up how this game looks. The atmosphere is strong. Baker Street is gray and dreary. The port is Innsmouthy. The swamp is swampy. The presentation of this game is noticeably improved from Chapter 1. It's more cinematic. Character models look a lot better too. The only thing I found lacking is the soundtrack. It fits the atmosphere and tone just fine, but nothing really stands out like in Chapter 1. Still, the entire package is a noticeable improvement. And they did all this in the middle of a war. Bravo. There's no class system this time either, so you're free to dress Sherlock and Watson how you want. Get that top hat out of here. On the hunt for Soulsby, the duo pop into a bar. The bartender claims to know little, despite having 2 brains inside of her.
Your clothes are already tight, and soon they won't fit at all. How far along are you?
I thought I'd hidden it better. How did you know? Are you a doctor?
In a manner of speaking.
He's not. He merely has the ego of one.
The search begins to pick up speed when we find a young boy missing his mother and brother. The brother was recruited to work for a man named Dirty Summers. He's not the first person to disappear after working for Summers either. They track down Soulsby, but he ultimately turns out to be a dead end. He works in customs, and while he was taking money to look the other way for Summers' shady dealings, he doesn't actually know that much. He can lead Sherlock to a warehouse that Summers has been using, however. Inside, they find a hidden tunnel leading to who knows where. So naturally, the pair split up. While alone in the tunnel, Sherlock is attacked by my least favorite part of the game. This nightmare puzzle section thing does not do it for me. We're still early into this adventure and we're already doing this? And yeah, I know, that's the struggle with Lovecraft-related stuff. How do you show a character losing their mind? Personally, I prefer subtlety at all costs with this kind of stuff. More of this.
Am I mad? This painting wasn't here last time, was it?
And less of this. The sacrificial altar to Cthulhu is more than enough for me. This guy was stuffed with eels for crying out loud. It made Sherlock grow 5 o'clock shadow. That's more than enough to make anyone, even Sherlock, wonder how something could get this whacked. The chamber was the next stop for the missing workers, and the final stop for this poor guy. He was an American private dick who was also investigating Summers.
I'm a private snoop like you, man. What? A dick, man?
Everyone else was, quite literally, shipped off to a psychiatric hospital in Switzerland called Black Edelweiss. Sherlock's plan to infiltrate the institute is to send Watson in alone while he takes an alternate route. Absolutely nothing could go wrong here. Watson arrives at the hospital where he's greeted by the director, Professor Gygax. She looks like a fish person from Innsmouth. I'm not sure if this was intentional or she's just the ugliest character model in the game, but there you go. Before Watson can ask what's wrong with her face, Bill Burr shows up to crash the party.
Hello. The name's Amos Colby, Northwood Detective Agency, Boston. I got questions that need answers. Who's in charge here?
This is Sherlock in disguise if you didn't figure that out. I'm not sure what was gained by Sherlock, a detective, disguising himself as another detective? Specifically, a detective that Gygax may have already heard was poking around their operation in London. He might as well have voluntarily checked himself in. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, that is rich, because clearly it was unimportant to tell me what you were planning beforehand. Amos Colby?
Your naivety was essential to sell the disguise.
Actually, it wasn't. You should have trusted me.
Watson, we can discuss this later.
No, you idiot, you absolutely should have. Watson even has the dialogue option to blow the whole thing because he's so caught off guard. Something else that doesn't make sense is this character. This patient thinks he's Napoleon, despite the character of Napoleon not being created for another 140 years. So we're just ripping off Ridley Scott now.
When I return to Les Tuileries, I shall make you a general.
Oh, you are too kind, Emperor. Now go. Your freedom awaits.
I am coming, Josephine.
Anyway, Sherlock tracks down where the patients ended up, but he needs Watson's help to open a secret door. Watson lures Gygax away and sends the key down to Sherlock. Also, this happens.
Shut your dirty little mouth, Gerda. You've said enough already.
After getting the door open, Sherlock finds they've been secretly running foreign language classes in the basement.
Big Louis, McLaren
Really foreign. This whole operation ain't cheap, and Sherlock finds that the money's been flowing in the form of precious stones from New Orleans. Sherlock at Mardi Gras when? The pair miss Mardi Gras, but they do make it just in time for the opal sale at a bank. Watson steals the clothes of a local drunk in order to sneak into the sale. Immediately, he's sniffed out by the local sheriff. They find a connection to a local businessman and they decide to pay him a visit. Unfortunately, it's already a mess at the mansion. But would you believe the butler actually did it? Even the raccoons were in on it. He snatched Mr. Arniston and carried him off into the swamp. Sherlock tells the man's favorite prostitute about it, and we learn there's a specific spot on the bayou that's perfect for human sacrifice. Sherlock and Watson ask a boat rental woman named Champagne for help, but she only accepts payment in the form of, you guessed it, Guinness. Sherlock only has sparkling wine from the Champagne region of France, so he's forced to pirate a boat. That's funny, kiss my ass. Despite being nearly shotgunned to death by the sheriff and eaten by gators, the pair reach the sacrifice site. What a charming location. Hot on the trail of Arniston, they find a hidden underground chamber. There, Sherlock finds the Necronomicon. Because he's never seen Evil Dead, he decides it's a good idea to touch it.
This kind of looks like your old girlfriend.
At the other end of this nonsense, we find Arniston attempting a darkness retreat, fully supplied with ayahuasca and other mind-altering drugs. They drag him back to town and get back on their boat in the nick of time.
Mr. Arneson has endured a lot. Lost 4 fingers, a lot of blood, and some of his sanity. But with rest and tender care,
Yeah, sure, he's probably gonna be fine. Our heroes return to Baker Street just in time to get yelled at by Mycroft.
International trade is a delicate beast. Your antics and Edelweiss have jeopardized one of the Crown's richest relationships.
Oh dear. As rich as all the butter you've been slathering on your bread?
Sherlock calls him fat like 3 times, but because he's such a bro, he's still willing to help.
The Crown cannot help you. But I can. Give him this.
What is it?
A confidential note tied to his case. He may see value in it. Just do not tell him it came from me.
Watson heads to the local bookstore to translate this cursed object of eldritch horror. He also uses the records here and Mycroft's help to piece together who's been pulling the strings this whole time. Lord Rochester. His family is known for building lighthouses along the Scottish coast. He's using one of those lighthouses to start a ritual to awaken something.
I must ask you to leave the book with me so I can read more of it. It's compelling. Very compelling.
Yeah, sure, man. Hang on to this thing for me. Let me know how it ends. If you can't tell, we're hitting the end of the game. Spoilers are incoming for the final act.
Who are these people?
Watson rows the pair in the middle of a massive storm. In the distance, sacrifices plunge from the lighthouse to the dark depths below. It's already started. Because this isn't already creepy enough, the lighthouse is also Egyptian-themed. Inside, they find an eldritch ritual involving blood, coins, and worst of all, levers. Inside the actual lighthouse, we get a closer look at the human sacrifices. They're entranced by these crystals. Sherlock uses the power of lasers and stabbing to destroy them. Without the crystals, the brainwashed victims snap out of it. They leave their masks on, though, because they look cool. Just up the stairs, we finally run into the legend himself, Dirty Summers.
Dirty Summers, I presume. Nice to put a filthy, sweat-covered face to a name.
Watson gives him just a flesh wound, and the two continue on. Sherlock finds drawings of the lighthouse and sees it's been outfitted with crystals for the ritual. They come up with a plan to destroy the crystals and release the hold on the poor souls before all of them go swimming. Sherlock will climb up and distract Rochester. Watson will stay below and do the Harlem Shake with the sacrifice victims. Seriously, what is this meant to represent? Are they about to fall over? Are they getting mad at Watson? They chuck him overboard if you fail the QTEs. He also gets chucked overboard if you fail any hidden dialogue checks as Sherlock. As Sherlock, you have to admit you're losing your mind, at least a little bit.
I'm afraid that it will cost me my sanity, much as it has cost you yours.
I don't really blame him. Those otherworld puzzles were driving me insane. Rochester is a full believer, though. and he claims Sherlock's heightened intelligence is the reason he's able to make sense of all this crazy shit. It does draw an interesting parallel to Chapter 1. Maybe Violet was trying to sacrifice Sherlock to an old one. She did have a Cthulhu statue in her collection. Well, whatever kind of crazy Violet was, Sherlock is more terrified of becoming that than anything at the bottom of the ocean.
It's an illusion. A delusion. I am mad. I have become my mother.
Watson shatters the last crystal just in time, sending Rochester off the side of the lighthouse full Denethor style. As a massive tidal wave closes in, Sherlock can't help but to look one final time before Watson pulls him away. Finally back home, Sherlock is clearly shaken while Watson types away.
Do not publish it. It would be professional suicide. You would be a laughingstock, a fabulist, concocting penny dreadfuls for the unwashed masses. And I would no longer attract a distinguished clientele, but madmen convinced I could connect them to their deceased relatives or help them capture a fairy.
Fine, I'll just wait for the movie to come out. Hey, should we check on Barnes?
Barnes, have you finished with the book?
Nah, he's probably fine. I have to say, it's a solid enough story, and you're not gonna get sunshine and rainbows at the end of Lovecraftian horror. But this Sherlock guy has been through some shit. As I said last time, this is my introduction to the character. I can't imagine many other iterations going through all this. Hell, this is basically just his backstory at this point. It's not stated outright, but you get the feeling Watson and Holmes haven't really been working cases together that much. This is only like 2 years tops since they met. If another one of these came out though, I'd pick it up. On one hand, I want to see a Holmes this damaged try to live life as a detective. What could possibly surprise him at this point? On the flip side, what could possibly surprise him at this point? Sherlock versus the Wolfman? I'm in either way at this point, but I'd be a little disappointed if the character is rebooted or this game is ignored entirely. I do plan on playing Crimes and Punishment at some point though. I've heard that's the fan favorite, so I'm gonna give it a try. But there is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, I have the link to Chapter 1 right there. I'm gonna play Crimes and Punishment, but like I said, there's other stuff I've been looking forward to, and I'm planning on taking a deep dive into James Bond. That'll be a fandom that I know well, and I'll get to do a video on. So thanks for watching, bye!
On Fox Kids, we're clued into the future. Meet Sherlock Holmes, a man of few words and incredible intuition.
We've picked up a trail.
Join Scotland Yard's Inspector Lestrade and Dr. John Watson. Catch an all-new Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century, Saturday morning at 8, only on Fox Kids.
Moo.